So, we're back, and today, welcome back. It's been crazy out there in the danger zone, but we do have we do have some stuff to talk about for this month. I was doing some research. I was able to get the most I could. Couldn't find so much that was really interesting to me this month. So it might be a little bit less than you're usually accustomed to, but I think it'll be enough that we'll have an interesting video for this month. First, I'm going to talk about the George Floyd protests. Now, it's been a very mixed experience in my opinion. You know, I'm going to kind of talk about more what happened, and I might let an opinion, but I'm going to try to basically just talk about what I've personally seen of these protests. So, on the one hand, there's been the more violent looting protests, like throwing things at cop cars, burning things on the street, breaking into stores, stealing things. And on the other hand, we've also had the more peaceful protests. So the things like just picket signs, yelling, marching, things like that, the more peaceful protests. And yeah, I think that's what's been going on. It's been it's been escalating a little bit now, in my opinion. They're starting to tear down statues and get rid of things they find offensive that existed over time. But, you know, I digress. The US reopened some of the stores, but because of all these protests and stuff like that, they closed again. So it was like grand opening, grand closing. People are still not social distancing. This is partly due to the protests I mentioned, but partly due to they just want to go out to the beach and not social distance and do all that stuff, which is really stupid. Yemen is suffering the worst humanitarian crisis in years. They're constantly fighting off both cholera and COVID-19, and they're also dealing with famine and war at this current time. Live streaming service Twitch is starting to crack down on copyrighted music and content and punishing people for using it. Things are going into stage 2 reopening here in Toronto. Seems to be the right move since things are going down, but I'm not sure since people still are not taking the safety measures seriously, and they are not. It's been getting worse. People are still not social distancing. They're still not cooperating, and I think that it's not the best idea to reopen like we originally thought it was. Trump says that the US shouldn't do so many coronavirus tests, they should do less, and that they're doing too much testing. The Trump rally was a big thing. Not a lot of people showed up. He claimed that he sold over 1 million tickets. Trump blamed the protesters, that there was protesters outside blocking the entrances so nobody could get in. He was planning to also let it spill out into an outdoor area as well. People who came did not wear masks. Spike of COVID cases in the US. A lot of younger people have actually been getting it now, and Florida is one of the biggest areas that the coronavirus has been in. It's been one of the most infected areas, in other words, actually. Also, Trump was talking about the coronavirus and referred to it as the Kung flu. 2 military members were hurt in Washington, D.C. by lightning, suffered 9 life-threatening injuries. So they were both hurt by lightning in a huge storm that happened. The lightning also struck the Washington Monument. The show, YPD, has been cancelled due to the current events in the world with George Floyd and such. Lebanon protests. They're facing the worst economic crisis in decades. Protesters in the US have torn down statues in different places in the US, including statues of Christopher Columbus and Captain Cook. NASCAR bans Confederate flags. Mike Skinner's son said Bubba Wallace should have been dragged around the pits with a noose. A noose was found in Bubba Wallace's garage Sunday at the Talladega Superspeedway. Also within that news, Ray Cicerelli is quitting NASCAR after 2020 seasons because of the political battles. Various TV shows have been pulled from US streaming services because they're seen as racist or offensive. Microsoft's streaming service Mixer is shutting down. This happens after there's been a lot of conflict in the company, some things, and also a black worker came out about how he was able to control the success of everybody on the platform completely on his own. Ontario fires Peel District School Board's Director of Education in bid to confront systemic racism. Ontario won't make masks mandatory. Province sees 189 new cases. From the CDC, coronavirus has infected 10 times more people than originally thought. US sets new daily high of 40,000 coronavirus cases. The bookstore Indigo closed closes 20 Kohl's small format stores amid seismic losses. Florida bans drinking bars as daily coronavirus cases approach 9,000. Toronto school year is over. A lot of uncertainty about the next school year. World Health Virus Task Force talks resurgence. North Korea threatens US with a nuclear attack, the only option left. Virus cases surge in California. Trump threatens tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum as USMCA takes effect. Recent deaths prompt calls for new way to respond to mental health crises in Canada. This is about the cops who are responding to mental health crises, and recent deaths have occurred because of that. They have been polling the votes in the US, and a few of the polls have shown that Joe Biden has won. These were shown on CNN, and Donald Trump claimed fake news. They don't want to force masks in the US due to a law that says people should be allowed to express themselves freely. That's all I have for the news today, but I have a lot to talk about in the personal section today. So first I'm going to make mention of something online. There's been a lot of stuff going on the internet, and I was watching a live streamer that I know, and he was talking about some of the things that have happened. And he said a quote that really put things into perspective about the current world events, and that is, in the next 5 or 10 years, differing opinions may be a thing of the past. So that's pretty scary. I'll get into more of the internet stuff later, but it is a very interesting thing to think about. So school is out now, as I said, in Toronto. The year is over. I was supposed to be graduating this year, no graduation. Kind of disappointed. But a big thing that people have been talking about on the news is how people are going to remember this school year. So I wanted to go into an honest kind of rant about how I'm going to remember this school year. And it's simple. I'm going to remember this as one of the most terrible years I've had in school. So let's start from the beginning. So even before school started in August, before the year started, I was so worried about the year starting, I actually had sleep paralysis 3 nights in a row. Then the year started, and within the first 2 weeks, I was already having a whole bunch of problems with my teachers, with people in the school, with bullying issues, and it just escalated throughout the year. More bullying issues, more conflicts, more challenging work, more challenges with the teachers, and then after all of this stuff has happened, all these conflicts, everything, then we have to go into the online learning thing, which I felt like I didn't have the support I needed at all. I felt totally screwed, and that just added on to everything. So I'm going to remember this year as one of the most terrible years I've had at school, period. It's interesting about what people have been talking about with this cancel culture thing, and basically people trying to erase history. The first thing is this whole cancel culture idea. Which is bullshit, but of people trying to basically go after people who have a differing opinion than them, either be on racism, on feminism, on any kind of issue. And if somebody has a different opinion, they want to basically go after that and make it, like, stop it, like say, you know, basically screw these people over. And they're trying to hide history now, as I said about the shows. There's things that have been racist in the past, and they don't want to acknowledge it. They just want to erase it, say it didn't happen, or just get it out of there, period. Knocking down the statues, same thing. Worries about being censored. I feel a lot of censorship is going to happen because of this. History is going to start disappearing, and yeah, censorship is going to become more of a new norm. And this goes into my next thing, which is this whole thing that I've been hearing in the news about what they think Generation Z is going to do to the world. And I want to be honest about what I think Generation Z is going to do to the world. And I simply think that they're going to be the ones which is my generation, just, you know, but I think that Generation Z is going to be the ones who are going to start being for censorship, pushing the idea of censorship as a good thing, not letting people have differing opinions, changing feminism into being from equal rights to one has more rights than the other, and things like that. And I feel like they're going to be pushing this kind of new agenda in terms of, you know, it's free speech. There shouldn't be free speech. People should all have the same opinion. There should not be equal rights, but the people who didn't have as many rights before should have more rights than the people do now. And I feel like Generation Z is just going to push this whole idea forward. and that's what they're gonna do. I don't really think in terms of, you know, the whole climate change and stuff, that might be the only positive that comes out of this. But other than that, I don't really see a lot of good things coming from them. People are still not social distancing, and Canada and the US, which is ridiculous. They still have crowded beaches, crowded bars, crowded restaurants. And I feel like even though they said maybe Canada won't, I feel that both the Canada and US are going to close down again because of what's happening. So now with all that out of the way, I'm going to talk about this whole internet censorship thing. So it seems like a lot of things now on the internet, they're putting fact check warnings, they're deleting things, they're getting rid of controversial content, they're banning people, they're removing accounts, and that's what seems to be the norm now. It seems like there's a lot of internet censorship going on, there's a lot of bans going out, there's a lot of things you can't say anymore, and it's really getting scary because it comes to a point of what's going to be considered offensive and what are we going to be able to say. So I feel like internet censorship a huge thing right now. And I guess that's it for this video today. I really don't have anything else to discuss. It was a good video to make, I enjoyed it, but that's this month, June 2020, 666. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Seems like things have gotten pretty crazy, and yeah. I guess I'll see you later. This was our video for June 2020, and hopefully that's a better month next month, but it doesn't seem too promising. And also, sorry I couldn't put so much world news in this video, couldn't find so much easily this month. Next month, hopefully I will have some more world news. That's it. See you guys. Peace.